Celtic Myths and Legends by T.W. Rolleston. And chapter 1 is called The Celts in Ancient History. Unique historical patterns of Ireland. Ireland alone was never even visited, much less subjugated, by the Roman legionaries, and maintained its independence against all comers nominally until the close of the 12th century of the Common Era. But for all practical purposes, a good 300 years longer. Ireland has therefore this unique feature of interest, that it carried an indigenous Celtic civilization, Celtic institutions, art, and literature, and the oldest surviving form of the Celtic language right across the chasm which separates the antique from the modern world. The pagans from the Christian world, and on into the full light of modern history and observation. Now, of course, pagan and heathen in such a context is hate speech, because at the time that this book was written 100 years ago, it was clear that that pagan and heathen were used for all monotheists, all non-Christians, and even the types of Christians that you didn't personally think, oh, they think Jesus is part God or something, but they're not enough of the church that I go to, that sort of garbage. Irish is probably an older form of Celtic speech than Welsh. This is shown by many philological peculiarities of the Irish language, of which one of the most interesting may here be briefly referred to. The Goidelic, or Gallic Celts, who, according to the usual theory, first colonized the British Isles, and who were forced by successive waves of invasion by their continental kindred to the extreme west, had a particular dislike to the pronunciation of the letter P. Thus, the Indo-European particle, para, represented by Greek para. The sides are close to, becomes in the early Celtic ar, as in the name Are Mariki. The Armor becomes who dwell uer by the sea. Aradunum, Ardin in France. Aricleta, the place beside the Clyde. Now Dumbarton, Are Taunan in Germany, near the Taunus Mountains, etc. When this letter was not simply dropped, it was usually changed into C, K, or G. But about the 6th century BCE, a remarkable change passed over the language of the continental Celts. They gained, in some unexplained way, the faculty for pronouncing P, and even substituted it for existing C sounds. Thus, the original Cratanis became Pratanis, Britain. The numeral Quatuares, 4, became Petuares, and so forth. Celtic place names in Spain show this change must have taken place before the Celtic conquest of that country, 500 BCE. Now, comparison of many Irish and Welsh words. shows distinctly this avoidance of P in the Irish side, and lacks of any objection to it on the Welsh. The following are a few illustrations: Irish, cron, Welsh, pren, English, tree. Irish, mock, Welsh, mop, English, sun. Irish, ken, Welsh, pen, English, head. Irish, clum or club, Welsh, plove, English, feather. Irish, a dig, Welsh, pimp, English, five. The conclusion that Irish must represent the older form of the language seems obvious. It is remarkable that even to a comparatively late date, the Irish preserved their dislike to P. Thus, they turned the Latin Pascha to Caig, Easter. Purple, to Corcair. Falsetio, through French, pouls, to Huesla. It must be noted, however, that Nicholson in his Celtic researches endeavors to show that the so-called Indo-European P, that is P standing alone and accompanied with another consonant, was pronounced by the Golden Celts, by the Goidelic Celts, at an early period. The subject can hardly be said to be cleared up yet. And